episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I am your host this week, Nick Haflinger. Before we get into any of the intros, I have to give a huge shout out to one of the members of the Mecca of Banter, Mr. Connor Sindobri. Him and his beautiful wife, Madison, gave birth to a baby boy yesterday. Crew Sindobri. So round of applause
Yes.
to that. That is huge. Um, as a father myself, I can only imagine what they're going through. Super happy for them. So shout out to them.
I feel like we've had so many celebrations on this pod the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks. It's just been incredible. Nothing
I
but
know,
high vibes.
huge life-changing things.
Weddings,
and I
engagements.
absolutely
Yeah.
He,
Everything.
he also just sent a video from the hospital room watching Gary Neville interviews. So he's really living it up.
one of my favorite parts is I was texting him and he like sent me his setup. He has like his iPad, the TV on, 2 games going, and I immediately showed Claire and she was like, absolutely not. And I was just dying laughing.
If he's gonna be there hanging out anyways, I admire the
Absolute
But yeah.
dedication to watching the sport.
Yeah, huge shout out to Dobes. Obviously he couldn't be here. They're still in the hospital, but sending good vibes their way. But for the intros, going from one United guy to the other, Mr. Henry Wine, how are we doing?
Great, man. It's a great day to be alive, and it's a great day to be a Manchester United fan. It is so nice in St. Louis right now, bro. It's hard to be in a bad mood when you get to go outside and see the sun and be outside in shorts and feel good about it. So I'm stoked to talk United. Big game coming up on Thursday, and I'm jacked to talk St. Louis City. I'm so stoked to talk about it.
So pumped that we all get to celebrate 3 points from the City Boys. Speaking of a City boy, how we doing over there, Hoove?
Good, man. I'm one of those cats that works inside all day when it's super nice out. So I actually didn't get to see much of the sun. So I'm jealous of that. But yeah, no, everything's great over here. I'm just Tottenham until they kill me, and I think they're going to kill me before anything cool happens. So love that. But saving grace right now, Dobes always says it, saving grace is St. Louis City. We have not given up a goal in 3 competitive matches. That's pretty insane. So we're riding that high. But yeah, Young Yet on Twitter, happy to be here. Same.
Love to have you, Hoove. And like I said before, pumped to talk about City with the lads. Someone who is also not celebrating 3 points though from their other side, Mr. Winkleman. How are we doing? Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
You're fine. We are celebrating 3 points in the Champions League. How's Conference League going?
Damn!
He should probably be in the Conference League. So,
But we didn't lose all 3, and that's the important part.
Great
Progress.
attitude.
Yeah. No, I'm. The other 2 boys couldn't have hit it better on the head. It is so nice outside, and I've been waiting for this consistent weather in St. Louis for I don't know how long. My sinuses have been going insane with this hot, cold, snow, rain, whatever. So to have this, knock on wood, like full week of just low 70s is going to be money. I half wish our indoor game tonight was. I don't half wish. I fully wish it was an outdoor game tonight. But no, a lot of good footy in the last week. A lot of good footy this week. City's rolling. I'm stoked to talk about all of it.
We're actually only in the spring of deception, which there usually comes one more winter after said spring of deception, and then it's spring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're bound for one more freezing
That's
day.
Spurs
For snow.
positivity.
Yeah, fully haven't changed over the closet yet because we all know there's probably one more week of snow possibility. But obviously we have a spicy episode for you guys today. Outline real quick, talk about City, then go into the Prem recap over the weekend, and then obviously all the European competitions that happened over the past week. Boys, 3-0 win against LA. What a victory. I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting it, but boy, was I happy to see it. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I was not expecting it either, but you're damn right I bet on it. So let's go. Plus 230 money line in the bag.
First thing I have to say, though, is Berkey. I mean,
dude, immense.
He's the best keeper in the league.
Yeah, the thing is that, you know, You know it's in there, you know the quality's in there, and then sometimes you just don't see it's not even that you don't see the quality, you just don't have the game that gets the chances to show the quality. And this game was full of those chances. I mean, not only from his shot stopping, but also just his positioning. The one that comes to mind is Royce's free kick at the top of the box. He didn't even have to move for it. He just knew where he was going to go, punched it away into safety. Roman Berkey's just immense. It's so good to see. So I love seeing that, and the boys were buzzing all throughout the field. It was honestly like really great. No matter which way you look, you could look at the defense, you could look at the midfield, you could look at the forwards. Everyone was connecting. It's just great to see.
I feel like there was a little spell in the second half of the first half where I was getting really nervous for the way the trajectory of the game was headed, because they were possessing it around us in our half. Like, we were down a man, we were making terrible breakout passes or breakout attempts out of the back. Hebert had that one pass like directly to the top of the box that was to absolutely nobody. And so that was more so what I was expecting from this whole game. I know Hoove and you guys said that, this wasn't what any of us were expecting, but I was more expecting that. Outside of the gameplay, I don't know if you guys noticed, I texted it in the group chat, but every time there was a stoppage in play, they were zooming in on Marco Royce's ankle tape or knee tape.
Yeah, every single time.
And
the announcers couldn't stop talking about it.
No, and I know who he is, and that's great and all, but I don't know, that was weird to me, and I was trying to figure out why we weren't watching more soccer than
100%.
They love that
in
dude.
the first half.
They love that dude.
We all like he's a baller. He's
And if he converts that shot that Berkey pushes off the post, like, totally different game.
Yeah.
100% completely different game.
Show his knee all you want.
Right. But then as when he was the passenger for Toychurch's goal, like, dude, that was bad. His controller died. He just sat there frozen. And that was his man. Like,
yes.
Toychurch was his man. It was completely 100% nobody else's man. And the keeper should have caught it. I do feel there was an error leading to a goal there that helped us. But, like, you got to be a little bit more alive than that, dude. Just general knowledge.
There's a lot of things you could say about Cedric Toychurch's game all around, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but he was also in the MLS Team of the Week because of his performance, which we always love to see. But finally, after a couple of weeks of talking about it, Marcel Hartl really showed up, balled out. He got the ball in dangerous positions. There was a couple of really nice flicks that. He's just the guy when he gets on the ball. And I'll say this till it's backwards, but Cedric Toychurch also is one of he looks so non-athletic when he's playing the game, but he bangs goals, man. He's so good. He's so good with his positioning.
Go ahead, Nikki.
No, I was just going to say I completely agree. But I also, before you were going into that point, I was thinking, like, we talked about it last week with the defense and us getting shutouts, and how I would much rather see a 0 on that end than goals on the other.
Yeah,
and I think that was a big example here. Like, when we would score a goal, the reason we would build momentum and build confidence was because we were getting a shutout.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be multiple games in the future where that's going to be the same, where we're going to rely on our defense, and that is a style that I can get behind. So Olaf is definitely checking some boxes for me already.
This was the first time we got to see, like, functioning offense. It was counterattack, which, to be fair, you go to LA, the reigning champions, you play a back five anyway. Like, I didn't expect a ton of possession and beautiful build-up through the middle, but the counterattacking build-up was fantastic. Mm-hmm. The goal that Hartl scored to Klaus, flicked back through the 1-2 to him, broke a defender away, sends it out to Cedric, one touch into the middle. The buildup was awesome. So it's good to see offensive ability. It was gonna take a minute to click for sure, because it very clearly the defensive side of the ball was what was of utmost importance to Olaf in preseason, and we're bearing that fruit right now. So totally cool with it. I would hope maybe in the future at home we possess a little bit better. I don't want to be a counterattacking team all the time, but Jose Mourinho won a Champions League with Porto doing just that. So it's successful. I understand it's successful, but a little bit of variability going forward would be nice. I do want to give a shout out, and it's a hot topic right now, lads. It's always a hot topic. Klaus played great.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
dude, he was great. The only thing he didn't do was push that curler 2 inches to the right. Like, he pinged the post, and the discourse about him on Twitter is warranted given the dollar amount that he's making. I think that's the only piece that I'm going to sit here and be like, yes, he probably shouldn't be a DP if he's not scoring 10, 12, 13 goals in a season. I do think that'll come. I don't think he's lost on goals. He crushed the post on a really, really nice shot. But his ability to play with the guys around him is so good.
Mm-hmm.
He can hold up. He can combine. He can beat a guy if he needs to. He's not going to 1v1 you and dribble down the wing. But he was so instrumental in the second goal, which I think was the best goal we scored. It was gorgeous. So special shout out to my German Brazilian. I love that guy, and I hope he scores the goal to shut some people up because I'm so team Klaus. It's ridiculous.
And I also love Simon coming off the bench and also scoring.
Right.
That the thing is like that's what you gotta want, and it's an interesting thing where I feel like sometimes last year, the year before, it was always this conversation: should it be Klaus or Sam? Klaus or Sam? Klaus or Sam? And I don't even think that we're in a situation where it's like, is it Klaus or Simon? It's just like you just want all three of your forwards firing. And even though Klaus didn't get on the score sheet, like he played an amazing game. And it was funny, Chat City Tactics during the game, maybe at halftime or something. He's like, a lot of people aren't going to like this, but Klaus is playing really well. Yeah. So it's funny to see. The one thing that I was confused about in this game, and it's hard to complain on a 3-0 victory, when he made substitutions, I have no idea. Like, we switched to like a 5-4-1, and Wallum slotted into like the middle. It was like this really weird. It was this really weird formation where like I didn't know where anyone was playing. I forgot who we took off, but we brought Josh Yarrow on. I was happy to see Josh come on, but I was so surprised it wasn't for like Kyle Hebert. It was for like I don't even remember who, but it was so confusing to me, the formation that we played. So I thought that was interesting, switching to that. And the other thing, and not to take your thunder here, but you texted us before the game and you're like, what the fuck is this Baumgartel guy doing? Like, we're not seeing this guy play at all. Like, he's not playing. He's not coming off the bench. Have no idea what he brings to the table. It's just a confusing thing.
Yeah, the Baumgartel thing's weird. Am I connected here too? Just double checking.
Yeah, you're connected. Right. You're just blurry, but you'll be.
That's fine. That's better for me anyway. I didn't understand the formation switch at the end for sure, and I want to see Baumgartel. He's got like 300 Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2 appearances. Like, we're starting Kyle Hebert, who I will be the first to admit that he had a good game.
Yeah.
He's not a great passer of the ball. I think everyone's okay with acknowledging that. He's a good defender. His feed to Betcher was fantastic.
It was so good, bro.
It was so good. So I enjoyed that. I was happy for him. I put on my Missouri State soccer shirt for a reason. Don't forget that we had an HR class together and did a group project. But
please don't forget. Please
don't forget. Don't
please
forget.
Don't forget.
I'm gonna yell that at him sometime, and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, I kind of remember you." But credit to him, he played well, and the best thing that we can hope for is that he keeps getting better, right? Like 100%. That. We're rooting for him. He's just not that ball he sent into the middle that immediately set Royce up was like, dude, we can't do this all year, but. Redeemed himself at left back, got an assist, played defensively pretty well.
I also thought it was funny the moment Josh came on, he got a card. So
literally right away. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I was like pumped for him, and then I was like, oh, Josh, damn, yellow.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Chris Durkin too. It was about 60 minutes into the game. I was watching the game with Dylan Lee, and he was like, oh shit, I didn't even know Durkin was like playing this game, which may sound like a bad thing, but we talked about Akil Watts a couple games ago about how the best thing that Akil Watts did the entire game was just doing all the dirty work, and he didn't need the spotlight, didn't need to play the Hollywood pass, and that was Chris Durkin. This last game, really, really clean and tidy game from him. So just want to shout him out.
Yeah, and anytime we get shutouts, I'm always going to love whatever our defense was that game. So as we continue with some games coming up, who do we play next? I'm trying to pull them up right now. We play
San Jose.
Seattle.
Oh, Seattle at home.
Seattle Sounders, March 15th is our next game. Any of the boys here going to be there?
Oh yeah, I'll be there. Who will be there too? I think. Yeah, season tickets. Still.
Got the high school reunion before, so
Oh, great!
should be there. Should be there in plenty of time.
in Who's section.
That's crazy.
10 years, man.
Alrighty, so we will dive right into the Prem recap. Before we go into obviously teams that are represented here by all of the lads, I did want to talk about a huge game that happened, which was Forest City. Forest 1, City 0. This was a huge result. Forest are legit, I think.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts? Callum Hudson-Odoi with a goal late. But yeah, huge.
Did you see the goal that he scored?
Yes, the near post.
What the fuck was Ederson doing?
Yeah, Pet's reaction to it. Yeah.
Dude. Nuno's reaction. The Forest coach, because Nuno was a keeper. When it went in and it panned to him, he literally went like just knowing that was just a bad defensive or a bad goalkeeping error. I mean, the thing is, like, Forest is just doing it. Like, they are every game that they play in. I mean, we'll talk about Bournemouth in a little bit. Obviously, they didn't come away with 3 points this weekend, but you watch the way that both of those two teams play. It's no nonsense. Guys are playing just to the best of their abilities week in, week out. But also, man, like, they want it. I watched Chris Wood hunt a fucking defender down for 25 yards to force a turnover in the offensive half. Like, they're hawking, and City is doing what City's done all season, which is underperforming and being lackluster. But by no means does that take away from what Forest did over the weekend. They were really good.
Yeah, and it was classic, like, City trying to dominate possession and Forest just classic counterattacking, holding a tight shell. Like, teams are figuring out City and how to play them.
They were gonna hunker down no matter what. That's Nuno. I've done this. I've seen it. I've watched it happen.
I've been around the block.
I've seen it.
They were gonna hunker down. There's one thing that's for damn sure. This game was gonna be 1-0.
Yes, wild. Another game that obviously I just realized because Butch is not here that we do not have representation for was the Liverpool Southampton game, 3-1.
I didn't watch, but I think it was a little sweatier than it should have been.
Yes, it was 2 pens, I believe, right?
Yeah.
That Salah scored on. Classic. But it was 1-0 at half for Southampton, and I think second half Liverpool scored 3.
I don't know the actual stats on this, so like don't check me on it. But I remember at the first part of the season, Sean Hughes was always talking about how unlucky Southampton has been. And to some extent, if you're giving away pens every week, like, I don't know if it's unlucky as much as it is just bad defending, but I feel like they give away more pens than literally any other team in the Premier League. It's insane how many
feels that way.
Yeah, 2-1 game, and it's like it happens all the time with them. And obviously they're going down. They're bad this season, but Jesus Christ, man, lock it in.
I think we've all said it though. Like, for some reason, I didn't realize that like Southampton would be this bad. Like, there was a couple of games where like I thought they were okay, and then now it's just like, damn, they cannot catch a break.
Leicester and Ipswich have been the same way. It's like they've all kind of lost excruciatingly close games, but they've lost a lot of them. So what happens?
Same, by the way. Same.
100%. 100%.
Like, oh, if one or two things went our way, we wouldn't be in 16th. You know,
right?
It's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's a great transition. One excruciating game to another. Spurs 2, Bournemouth 2.
Bro, I'm so excited to listen to this.
Hoover, how are we doing over there, brother?
Dude, this game could have ended 3-2, and my reaction would have been the exact same. Like, it's just Groundhog Day, dude. Every single day is the same. Like, we either have to play a team in Manchester or Southampton for it to feel decent, like we're gonna come away with something at all. It was daylight saving, so I totally had the wrong alarm set and slept through the first like 42 minutes. Pop open the game. In the play, That Cliver or who was that cross? That cross was amazing. That left back Kirkies or whatever.
Yeah, Kirkes.
That guy's a
Disgusting.
baller.
Yeah.
He's a baller. And I think that's something to be said about Bournemouth too. They've got some hidden ballers on this team.
Yeah.
Like they're really fun to watch. I literally opened my phone to Tavernier scoring that goal. I turned it back off. It was like, dude, no way. Came back on. It's just they have to go behind to figure out how to play it all, and it's been like that the whole season. Scoring goals has never been the issue. And truthfully, the whole thing was lucky as hell. Like there was someone on Twitter that was like, if Areola does become Ange's replacement, he's going to be perfect for the job because he blows 2-0 leads to shit teams. Like that's exactly what happened, dude. They absolutely bottled it. Spurs did nothing to get back into this game. We had a bozo moment from Kepa to give Sonny a pen, who attempted a cheeky little Panenka, but it ended up just kind of squibbling into the net. It was awesome. It was a great idea. And then, Sarr's cross that went in. Not one redeeming quality out of this game. Like, didn't deserve it. Didn't deserve a point. A 3-2 finish. I'm just feeling the same way. Like, Bournemouth's a good team. But when you go in, the underdogs at home against Bournemouth, that's where we're at right now, dude. Like, that sucks. It sucks. This season sucked. If we go out to PSV in the Europa League, I mean, Ange probably shouldn't get on the bus. Like, there's no real sense in that. Like, there's no real sense in keeping him at this point. There's just, like, everyone wanted him to be the guy so badly. I've never wanted anyone at Spurs to succeed more. Like, I've been so behind him up until the very end. But these last 2 matches, it's like 8 days of rest before the PSV game. You'd think they hadn't touched a ball of summer break. And then, come out leggy against Bournemouth and kind of shit the bed. First 65 minutes. It's just like, dude, it's just the same over and over and over and over and over again. And it comes back to the owner, and the owner's never going to do anything, and they're going to fire a manager, and it's going to be the same thing next year. Like, you can look at our net spend, and the Spurs have spent some money, but on who's that's going to come in and either grow to be an unbelievable player or make a difference right now. Like, yes, Brendan Johnson has 10 tap-ins at the back post for, he's got 15 or something goal involvements. By all standards, that's a good season for a winger. But when he doesn't do that, he doesn't do anything else in the game. Like, he doesn't create space for himself. He finds the back of the net when he makes great runs. I think he's really intelligent with his ability to play. But, like, dude, who else we got? Like, Dom Solanke's great. He's been injured. And he even can't get involved when the midfield and wing players don't find him the ball. Like, it's disappointing. It feels like the play on the field has regressed, which is the biggest bummer. If we're still seeing the Ange ball that we had seen beginning of last year and in certain moments in this year, it's like, okay, they couldn't do it this week, or Bournemouth are great. They, snuck out of there with a point. It feels like regression. So that's the biggest point to me. It's like, where do you go from here? It's the same every single day, every single match week. It's,
So do you really think that if you guys lose to PSV that he's probably gone?
Yeah, I think he's gone at the end of the year unless he wins the Europa.
Well, I was just going to ask if he does win the Europa, does that even keep his job? Because and this is just my personal opinion coming from someone that understands, because I felt like Ten Hag was in the exact same situation last year.
Yeah.
Huge injury crisis. Players regress on the field. You question if they're even playing for the manager anymore, like all sorts of things, right? But then he wins the FA Cup against City. They don't, sack him. They spend a bunch of money in the summer and then just to sack him like a month and a half, 2 months into the season.
Right.
Like, do you think that Spurs part ways with him even if he does win the Europa League?
I think if he wins the Europa League, we build a statue of him. So at the end of the day, like, I think if he does that, you earn it. No matter what any cup competition that comes away with a trophy this year, he should keep his job. And again, we've seen the good that has been an Ange Ball Tottenham Hotspur team. And I think if you win the Europa, you immediately open new doors that have been closed for years of Champions League and more money available and players that you can buy and bring in. The opportunity is so much better with a Europa League trophy than finishing 10th with 0 trophies. Like, who's coming in? Who are we going to buy for him to come in that's going to turn this around? Like, I think it's got to be a top to bottom switch. And again, I more than most want him so badly to be the head coach next season. I just don't see it. Like, we've seen the history of Tottenham, we've seen the history of Daniel Levy, and he doesn't support win now managers and he doesn't support project managers. We're in a project. The best moments we've had in this project were the beginning of last year when he had a full season, like a full preseason to go through it. And then it's regressed. We didn't make moves in January last year. We made some this year because we literally had the worst injury crisis in years that anyone had seen. Like, we had children covering the bench, children playing with 2 18-year-olds that have played more this season than anybody else's team has, combined. But it's such a tough situation. He's not coaching Pedro Porro to just piss the ball away in the middle of the field and spark counterattacks, but he is coaching Pedro Porro to be in that position. Mm-hmm. You have to get those players to do the things that you need them to do, or else you can't play them in those positions. It's such a weird fine line to where we got to stack this team. And, his Celtic side, probably the most expensive side in Scotland, or Ireland.
I think it's
Ireland.
Is it Scotland?
Yeah. They'd kill me if I mislocated them. Pretty sure it's Ireland, but
Scottish Premiership.
It is?
Yeah. The Scottish Premiership.
It is. You're right. I'm an idiot. They still might kill me. But it's
real.
We're not getting the investment in this. We're not the richest squad, the most expensive squad in the league. We don't have to be. I don't think necessarily. Yeah, because sometimes it still doesn't work out, even if you are. But
top 4. What?
I know. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying. There's just nowhere to go from here. Like, I genuinely don't know where you go from here. It's Europa League or bust. We're not getting relegated. We're not making European places. I think you try and win out as many as you can, but we've not won. I think it's only a handful of home games this year in total. Like, the amount of home games we won this year has not been, we've not had that many low. I don't know what's wrong with words here. We've not won that few amount of home games since 2010, 2011. That team was miserable. Like, that was when I kind of picked up my fandom. And I did not pick up my fandom in the middle of a Champions League run, right? But no shade. But but yeah, so it's just Groundhog Day, dude. It's just over and over and over, and nothing changes. And it's like I'm living in a penitentiary. It's like, what's that quote? Rooting for Spurs is like having a mortal illness that doesn't actually kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just.
I did want to ask you, Hen. Obviously, I wasn't watching this game because Chelsea was playing at the same time. Mm-hmm. What were you saying about Kepa and how I should have watched? What was he doing?
It was just so bad. It was
He's an idiot.
The first goal, he was so far off his line that, like, it might have been a shot, it might have been a cross, but I mean, regardless, he was like caught out so badly from the least intimidating thing, and then the pen that Sonny drew, like, he was just rattled, and it just reminded me of, like, at the end of his Chelsea reign when he was just like a basket case. Because, I mean, he really has been good this season. He's made great saves. He's been whatever. But, like,
I thought that's what you were saying. Like, I thought you were pretty much rubbing it in that he's, like, balling out right now. And
no. I was like, you would have lost your mind of just being like, I fucking told you. Yeah. Like, he's shit. Like, it also made me think of last episode when we were talking about, like, would you take, any one of the other 16 goalies that you have other than like Sanchez and Jurgensen or whatever. But Kepa was in that discussion, because technically he still is employed by them. And up until this point, you'd be like, for sure. And then like you watch that game and you're like, yikes. It's just so
that's
bad.
what I remember.
Yeah.
Dude,
literally.
he tried to anticipate that cross like an idiot. Like, and I guess
was weird.
It was weird. Like, yes, you're assuming that ball's going to the penalty spot, so you take a couple steps out. But it also might not, brother. This is the Premier League. Like, they could have a pop, and I think it was a cross. But, dude, Sonny's pen was way worse. Like,
It was bad.
I understand trying to anticipate a cross, but Sonny's pen, he was 5 feet from the touchline. Like, the ball was going out. His angle to either shoot or cross was miserable. He was always getting there first, even with the half step slower old Sonny. He was always getting there. It was so boneheaded, dude.
Yeah,
Just handed the penalty.
Do you think that's a big confidence booster for Sonny, or do you think it's just like,
It's hard to read his mindset right now because he's perennially the just happiest guy on the planet. Loves being the Tottenham captain. Loves life. Loves everything. Loves everybody. I think he just really wanted to win. It's always good to see the ball hit the back of the net, roll into the net, I guess in this case. But I don't know where his head's at. I think it's like we've had the conversation. We had a conversation with the Soccer Dad pod a little bit, but I don't know. Shout out those guys. Go listen to that if you haven't. When we were talking about Christian Pulisic having the band and he's feeling a little less burdened by the band and being able to play a little bit freer. I think there's a little bit of that with Sonny, and I don't want to say he's not a leader because he absolutely is a leader and a leader of the locker room and one of the older vets on the team, but he's not your out and out, get in your face, let you know what's wrong, get over it, keep playing. Vicario has been that guy. So I do wonder if a little bit of the weight on his shoulders is just trying to maintain face and talking to the ref, and when in reality, he should just ball, man. He should just be removed from that and let Vicario run 50 yards up to go talk to a ref. Like that's
the thing is too is like, I mean, just like you said, it's always great to see the ball go in the back of the net, but at the same time, the game was bad. Spurs played really, really poorly, and like I saw it as Bournemouth. I mean, not even Bournemouth. Kepa just literally lost his head twice and gave them 2 goals. Like, I mean,
do I know that all too well?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. Like, you look at their outfield players and they bossed the game entirely, every part of the pitch. And like, the Sonny chance, he wasn't going to score on, and then the Sarr goal like wasn't really like a real chance either. And so I just think that Sonny, if he was honest, he would look himself in the mirror after the game and again be like, great, glad I scored, but at the same time, like, that was fucking bad.
Yeah, the only hope I have for the future is literally in the young kids. Like, Archie Gray didn't play in this game, but he's been immense. Bergvall, I think, is going to be a baller, dude. Like, I think there's a real player there. And we've got this kid who
reminds me of Scott McTominay a little.
A little bit, definitely saucier, but
yeah, a little bit.
The big blonde, he's like a big dude. Yeah. Like for how like slender I feel like he looks, he's a big guy. So for him to float over the pitch is always fun to see. But then we've got this Lucas Vasquez kid that's playing in Belgium right now, who's like the highest rated 17-year-old in the world and has more goals and assists than like I'm pretty sure anyone else 18 or younger in the top 10 leagues as a center back. This kid's this kid's a baller. Everything that we're seeing is like, how on earth did he pick Tottenham? So hope maybe, I'd love to come back to me in 5 years. We'll check back on the recordings and we'll see if they're 1 still with Tottenham and 2 have won anything. But that's exciting. That's all I got.
God, the thought of being 5 years in the future and still not winning anything. And I'm in the same boat, by the way, but I'm like, God, what a mess.
I've never seen a trophy lift, bro.
We are not the same.
I've never seen a trophy lift. No.
Well, from one game with awful keeper errors to another, want to talk about Chelsea 1, Leicester 0. I don't know if you guys watched this game, but
No.
Robert Sanchez almost tried to personally cost us the game once again on a similar error that you guys were explaining with the Kepa goal. But we had a cross come in and he like dove out for it. And then we had to do a diving, or not a diving, but a clearing header that hit the post. Probably should have went in. I was like, what the fuck is this dude doing? I thought he was about to cost us the game again. But overall, the game was subpar, if I'm gonna be honest. I will gladly sit here and be happy as the only person with 3 points out of the four of us and say we move because 3 points is 3 points. But by no means was this like a convincing win by us. I thought we had a couple of players that balled out. Mark Cucurella, like getting the game winner. I don't know if you guys saw the goal. It was a great goal.
Yeah.
Man can do anything. We tell him to play left back. We tell him
Except
to play
cut his
right
hair.
back.
He can't do that.
Yeah, I don't think we've asked him to do that, but if
Yeah.
we asked him, I bet you he would.
Enzo Maresca's like, hey, Mark, it's time, brother. Like, we got to do it.
I thought Enzo Fernandez played super well. I think he's getting a lot more freedom in the offense and taking a lot of some of the shitty play from Cole Palmer and making it a little bit better. That was one thing I wanted to bring up. Before I talk about his performance, of any player on Chelsea for the past 2 years who has been saving our asses and it deserves a time to not be at his peak form, this man deserves it. But he has not been playing well. This game was another game. His confidence is just so shot. I don't know if you guys saw the penalty take.
Yeah.
I literally, like, before he was about to take it, I was like, this does not feel right, just because they were already talking about his perfect record. His confidence was kind of at a low at the moment, and I just didn't feel good. And then the whole like icing him as well. I was
Dude,
like, oh,
that was some good
Smart.
stuff there. That was
Yeah.
what was it, a minute and a half? Like minute and 15 seconds. This keeper got the PK delayed. Like it worked, dude.
Yeah, his confidence is not good right now. So I'm happy some of the other players on Chelsea are able to pick up some of his form. Because like I said, he's been carrying us for the past 2 years, and we would probably be in similar positions as United and Spurs if it wasn't for him. So
probably be with one of those bum ass teams.
Yeah.
You were last year, bro. You were.
You've been here. You've done this.
You guys would kill for 6th. What are we talking about?
I would
Maybe
be
2 years ago when we finished 12th. Yeah, I would agree, but you guys would kill for 6th place right now. But like I said before, it wasn't a convincing win. I will take the 3 points. It moves us back into the top 4. Cucurella's goal was so nice. I'd love to bring it up again. Left-footed. I love his celebration because I learned what it was. He does the penguin for his family because apparently penguins, when they find a pack, they're with them for the rest of their lives or something like that. I know it's cheesy as shit, but whatever. I don't give a fuck. I like it. So
Family man, whatever.
Yeah,
Is there anything
but I
you
don't know if
can't
you guys
do?
watched it.
Is there anything he can't do?
Yeah, news fest. But yeah, don't know if you guys had any thoughts on the game or if you even watched it.
No, I mean the real story I feel like is Cole Palmer. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Nikki, if you were like in charge of Chelsea, if you were the coach, if you were Enzo Maresca, are you sitting him for a game, or are you just telling him to play through it? Like,
Do you sell him in the summer with this crazy dip in
No.
form?
what
Like
is it,
you
come
have to be
United
embarrassed.
for 40 million.
Yeah.
Never. The man's. I would give him the keys to London and Chelsea and Stamford Bridge and all the above because of what he's done for us. But I mean, I don't think you're far off, Henry.
I think that's so funny. It's like
personally-
he hasn't won anything. Cole Palmer literally hasn't like won
But
anything.
take it
and
all.
You're like, take all of it. Like, we're talking about building a statue for Ange if he wins the Europa League. Absolutely. Cole Palmer had like a good season, and now he has like
no
the keys to the
statue yet.
castle.
I'm just saying, give him the keys because I think he's talented and I want him to continue.
But what
You
would
get
you
over
do?
there,
What would you do with him? What would you do?
I would continue to play him. And if
I don't see how you
doesn't
can't.
perform-
Yeah.
and if
get
he
it.
doesn't perform, continue to take him out and sub him off. But I think there's no reason that he should not start and play day in and day out. Obviously, confidence is something that he will gain back, I truly believe. And once he finds form again, I think we'll be fine.
I
think
get
it gives
cognizant of
opportunity
like,
for other players to step up as well. So that makes me happy.
for sure. But you think about like how long it's been that he's been underperforming, and what you've tried up to this point has been subbing him out. and all this
Which
stuff.
okay, then how many games do you think he's been underperforming in? Because I think that is drastically different than what the media is portraying. Yes, he hasn't had a goal and assist in a decent amount of games, but I think in those games he is drastically impacting us in a positive direction. And he's maybe had 2 to 3 average games.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm just curious. I just think that at some point, like, and by all means, he could turn around this weekend and score a hat trick because he could, you know.
Right.
Not
but
against our back line, but
at some point, you think that, like, I don't know. I just think the mentality side of it of like there is the idea of playing through the bullshit, you know, absolutely. But then it's like, would you could also protect him a little bit, you know, bring him on in the 60th, tell him to just go find the game for the last 30 minutes.
You want me to be completely honest with you,
Yeah.
and Hoover's gonna love this take. I think if we have João Felix, it's another conversation because I think like he's competing for that same spot. But I think the fact that we loaned João Felix out, it almost was a statement from Maresca of like Cole Palmer's gonna play here, and we're gonna kind of live and die by that for the moment. But I also think Enzo playing super well in this game and taking a lot of the load off and getting an assist for the goal. And like that's another thing. Cole set up Enzo to then get the assist. Like, yes, like it's not an assist in the books, but like he's still impacting play positively for us.
Yeah.
That's leading to goals. So like, yes, I agree with you. He has not been performing well 100%. I'm not gonna defend him in that regard, but I also think he deserves the leeway with what he's produced for us in the past year and a half.
For sure. And I don't think, he's not a liability. Like he's not a liability out there. And so, yeah, I'm not saying that he deserves to be benched or anything like that. But you brought up João Felix, and I was thinking about him. He's got a little bit of Lukaku in him in the sense of like he signs for a club and he's like, it's always been my dream to be here. I want to be there.
Yeah, and then he gets loaned out and loves that.
He said that about Atletico Madrid, about Barcelona, about Chelsea, and about AC Milan now. He said it about every single club he's been to, which is just so funny. I'm like, people love that guy, but Hoover is
and I don't think he played as bad as Hoof thought, but we don't have to get into that.
Hoover loves talking about João Felix.
Yeah. I hate him.
But moving on to surprisingly was the game of the weekend, I believe. A 1-1 draw, United versus Arsenal. How are we feeling after that? I want to start with Lucas. Winks, what are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, so Henry and I watched this game together.
Ooh, spicy.
I don't think either of us were happy with how it ended, whether that's in the realm of how it should have ended before the game or at the end of it. I think it's evident in both teams that there are attacking issues all over the field.
Bruno's goalie alignment errors, but
Bruno's free kick was phenomenal despite Raya's bad positioning. No, it was a great free kick right between
we did watch
Marino and Gabriel's heads.
Yeah, right between
like Marino
heads of a jumping wall. Like
it was beautiful.
Nowhere near the corner.
The dip was great. Yeah. No, we've talked about it plenty that it was bad positioning on Raya's part, but he more than made up for that with the double save against Bruno at the end of the game. Declan Rice's one-touch finish was excellent as well. They gave the man of the match to Declan Rice. Fair play. He had a great goal potential saving tackle on Højlund.
Potential keyword because it was Højlund, but yeah. Clear-cut opportunity.
Yeah, clear-cut opportunity. Probably wouldn't have gone in. He probably would have dribbled it right into Raya's hands, like when your controller dies in FIFA. But outside of Bruno's goal, Mazraoui, I thought, was United's best player. I thought that he looked very, very good, especially when he got the ball in tight spaces in our half, in our final third. Rather their final third. This is, kind of been one of the stories of our year. We outpossessed and outshot, but we will never win a title if we don't figure out how to take 3 points from the teams we should be taking 3 points from, while also creating big chances and not just general shots on goal. And this year, United, I think, almost across the board as far as the Big Six goes, is one of those teams that we should be beating. But somehow we've taken 1 point from 2 games, from them this year. So it's tough. It would be tough to swallow if we were still in this metaphorical title race, but as of a couple weeks ago, and seeing the form that Liverpool's in, I don't see anything like that happening. So it obviously
Another year.
blows. It blows to lose to United. It blows to tie United, especially away. But it's not as gutting as if it would have been what would have cost us the league at this point. However, looking back at the reverse fixture earlier in the year, like that was one of the big turning points too, where I believe Liverpool either lost or drew that week that we lost to you guys, and yeah, that's a big turning point. So
Yeah.
it continues to be tough when our team scores 5 to 7 goals in a game or 0 to 1, and we just don't know what game is going to be which.
Yeah, as a gambler, yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Ruined
no,
me.
yeah, and referring to your text about that, like
Ruined me.
like
You're ruining it.
this United team and the defensive injuries that they have right now, this should be a game where we score 5 goals. That Manchester City game is maybe one of those games earlier this season that 5-6 games ago that we score 1 or 2 and win. Just looking specifically at the team sheet and who's playing, but there's no consistency, and that's the toughest part right now. Is we don't have that one player that we can consistently go to for goals. And in certain games, I think Chelsea's in the same boat. When Cole Palmer's not scoring, they have to find people to score goals elsewhere on the field. When Solanke's not scoring, similar to you guys, but the tough part is, like, we've seen it in several games where I see that both of our wingbacks can score a goal. Our makeshift CDM striker hybrid can score goals. Both wingers can score goals. It's just a matter of, like, either all of them convert on their chances in the same exact game or none of them do. And I don't know where that disconnect is, but that's going to continue to be a problem for us moving forward offensively until we figure it out. But signing Atletico Madrid's sporting director, I think, is a step in the right direction. And Henry and I were talking about this. Henry called out, if you look at their team, they're all just dogs. And something that I've been saying, since pre-January transfer window was that we need to sign a dog up top, or dogs in other positions in general, ones that have that killer mentality. So I'm hoping that that the club, supports him and Arteta in bringing in a couple of those, dog-esque players. But
did you see him storm off him after his post-match presser?
It's so funny.
Arteta?
Dude, yes.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, I'd be fucking pissed too. No, I did not, but
It was
I think
like
I had left your house, Hen, before.
They asked him a question and he like gave like a non-answer, and then he started walking away and they're like, "Oh, one more question." And they asked something about the title race and he just left. He just didn't even say
Yeah, it was like, do you think any of these like attacking issues come down to not signing a 9 in the January window? And he was like, literally like, I'm not gonna talk about it. And they're like, one more question. We're like, how do you view the rest of the season in the title race with Liverpool? And he's like, it's not done.
Those are two self-answered questions, unfortunately, that he's probably been asked several times.
Oh yeah, I guess that. But
in the last 2 weeks in general. But anyways, Hen, what do you got?
If you're asking from my perspective, I expected so much more from Arsenal. I expected so much more from them.
This game was
just toothless. It was a snoozer, especially for the neutral. But I do think from the United perspective, there are some positives to take away from the game. Not everything, but there were some. I want to give a shout out to a couple players. Aiden Heaven coming in at halftime, playing against Arsenal, which was great to see. The team that we signed him from, he looked like a seasoned vet back there. Looked so really well collected. Didn't have a problem breaking the lines. he's a player that I feel like we can build around between him and Euro. Matthias de Ligt was awesome again. He's been so consistent the last couple months. Those three are just great until Lisandro Martinez comes back from his injury. The great chance that we created to Mazraoui at the back post, David Raya standing on his head there. What more can you say about Bruno Fernandes? I mean, I know that we say it every single week, and we always talk about like where would we be if we didn't have him. But I mean, for the love of God, man, the guy bails us out of just about every situation that we're in. And he's gone through his patches of not having a goal contribution. And this is going to sound like a low blow now that Nicky just left, but he's never gone through what Cole Palmer's gone through. I mean, you look at that guy's stats for his entirety of his career, and granted, Bruno was a little bit older than Cole Palmer when he joined. Like, I get all that; he's been more seasoned, but the amount of goals and assists that he's racked up, it so makes up for all of the bullshit stuff that he does that frustrates fans or frustrates the neutrals. I mean, he really is he's just that guy. Casemiro played well. He was the one who high pressed Marino, I think is what it was, that made that great chance for Højlund at the top of the box. Like we had some pretty solid, performances around the field, but we also just had some performances where you just see so clearly that guys just aren't good enough. I think the Højlund chance that you talked about, Winks, like, I mean, when it happened, Winks can attest to this. I literally stood up and I was like, shoot the fucking ball. It's like that ball falls to me at the top of the box at indoor, bro. I'm barely taking a touch and I'm ripping.
Letting it fly. Yeah.
And what was crazy to me is he's a left-footed player, and his first touch that he took put it on his right foot in the pathway of Declan Rice, which allowed him to slide in and get it. Why not just bring it over to your left and just blast it? I mean, talk about a guy who's low on confidence. But we did have good performances from Joshua Zirkzee once again, Lenny Yoro before he came off, De Ligt. We had some good performance. Garnacho was dangerous kind of in all facets of his game, a really complete performance there. But I just expected more from Arsenal. I think that if this game was, or excuse me, if the PSV game that they played midweek was a closer game, like a 1-1, 2-1, something like that, you would have seen more rotation in the squad, which I think would have made sense because of the European stuff. But the fact that they won 7-0 or whatever it was, 7-1, I don't even know, but there was just a toothless approach from them. So I also think that United had the way better chances to win the game. I think any other goalie in the Prem, maybe bar Allison, is in net. I think the Mazraoui chance goes in. I think Bruno chance at the end of the game goes in. So I honestly, when we turned off the game, I was like, damn, I feel kind of shorted that we walked away with only 1 point. I felt like all three were there for the taking for us, but is what it is. We move. I think it gets clearer and clearer every single game who's going to be part of these long-term plans and who isn't going to be part of the long-term plans. I know that Sir Jim Ratcliffe did a full interview today that Dobes was sending me shit about, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it. But the one thing that I did see that I just thought was funny, and it just kind of goes to show Ruben Amorim's mindset, is Sir Jim Ratcliffe, in his interview said, I think that Ruben's a very thoughtful guy. Every time I go to the training ground, I speak to Ruben. I sit down, have a cup of coffee, and tell him where it's going wrong. And then he tells me to fuck off. I like him. Which I just think is so funny. I don't know. I think prior to this interview being dropped, there was a lot of discourse in the fan base about is Ruben the right guy? Does he have the backing of Ineos is he going to get sacked at the end of the season? But I just feel like he has such a leeway, which is great. You'd be begging for that. If Levy came out and said something Ange is the guy, whatever. But long story short, I think that we have our biggest game of the season on Thursday against Sociedad. If it does not go well for us, we're in a similar boat to you, Hoove, that if it doesn't go well for us, there's really nothing else for us to play for the rest of the season. And we might see some really drastic squad rotation because Amorim would kind of just be like, all right, let's just only play the people who are in the future plans because there's no reason not to. So We will see. But let's talk European competitions. We have a couple of games to touch on real quick. In the Champions League, PSV got fucked up by Arsenal. A 7-1 victory for the Gunners. I don't really know what you want to say about this game, Lucas, but I mean, holy shit, man. 7-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to the toothless Arsenal game, toothless Arsenal performance, in your words, I think we blew our wad of goals in that game, so to speak.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good to see Martin Odegaard scoring goals again. 6 different goal scorers in that game. I think that, yes, PSV didn't look good, but I think that we just looked very, very good. That was one of the better performances from us this season, and I think the proper way to start a 4-game and 12-day stretch that we have now, halfway through that. Yeah, the only call outs for me were 2 players whose sort of defensive discipline is continuing to come into question, and that's Mile Lewis Skelly and Thomas Partey.
Lewis Skelly's a fuck, bro.
I don't
he
think
is so quickly becoming my least favorite player in the Prem. Like, it is skyrocketing.
why specifically?
Because for me, like, I think like early on when he first burst onto the scene, I think he had a little bit of that like fight and that edge in him, which I was like, oh, cool. Like, academy kid, like, is going toe to toe. I think early on was like the Holland celebration kind of thing, maybe his second game. But every game since then, he just reminds me, like, of Ashley Young. Like, he reminds me of this fucking dick on the field. And you would assume that he has this like immaculate trophy cabinet behind his resume. And like, I just feel like he acts bigger than his britches a lot. And
So
it bothers the fuck out of me.
I'm sorry that bothers you. I'm sorry you feel that way. But if I'm a sub 20-year-old player playing in my first season on the first team of one of the top teams in the Premier League and the Champions League competing team, wouldn't you want a young player like that on your club to play physical and be an electric personality and sort of show that fight? Or would you want them to play, like, I know that
With
there's
3 red cards though?
That's what I'm saying.
Idiot.
Hold on, Hen. You're forgetting what I said initially when we started this conversation was like, there is defensive discipline that's like come into question for these guys, and so like what I was gonna say is he is a young, physical, hungry player, and that's like super evident. But there does have to be a conversation, if there hasn't been one already, like, red card aside, specifically his mindset and his evident ability that we've seen. I think that is heading in the right direction, but discipline wise, there has to be a conversation around him, at the very least, once he gets his first yellow, to like chill the fuck out, because that is how all defenders approach their game. If they don't get subbed out, you see them play a lot less physical defensively, especially one-on-one with attackers. So I'm not
Getting subbed in the 35th is an admission of a missed red card.
100%.
Well, I
Like,
mean, it
that
was bad
before they get it. Yeah,
he should have gotten a second yellow. That
Yeah.
was bad.
Right.
And that changes, I still think you probably win, but that'll change the entire complexion of the tie. Like,
yeah.
that's...
And the other tough part for me is that, like, these reds that he has gotten aren't like the most malicious red cards in the world. Like, he at no point has he looked like he's gone out to defend a player and purposely try to hurt them. And I think that like red cards in general get lumped into one group as being like the worst fouls of the worst fouls, and I don't think that describes him.
Positionally, a couple were questionable.
Yes, and so I think for him it's just like he is that young player that wants to make his presence known, and he's that exact kind of player that would at the very beginning of the game like set the tone for the game. I think that he's that kind of player. And so it's unfortunate that, he has 3 reds, probably should have been 4, but that part of his game will get better. But I think if you look at his tools, he's got the right tools to be a successful wingback in the Premier League. And I think he's on a good team to do that, where he'll have a lot of opportunity to go forward and get in on the attacking side of things too. So
I'm only saying Ashley Young player comparison. That's
we'll keep that one in the back pocket.
We can look closer at that.
Yeah.
And then Thomas Partey's stupid foul in the box robbed Raya of his clean sheet. But all to say, second leg against them at home is on Wednesday. Don't expect it to be a blowout in the same way, but I still expect us to come off of this United game with a chip on our shoulder and win the game, and kind of make a statement in the only tournament that we have left.
It's kind of crazy to say, but you genuinely have a 6-goal lead. So you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Well, I mean, not really, because who was it? Barcelona and PSG that one year were down 5 goals on aggregate.
That's true, but I know 6 is a lot. 6
is a lot. I would expect
for our
rotation.
Team to give up.
Yeah,
right.
I would expect some rotation too.
Definitely. And I think this is a good opportunity. Ben White hasn't gotten a start since his injury. I think this is a good chance to at least have him play the first half. I need to look at our injury list, but Saka's injury return got pushed back from mid this month to early April. So had that been the case still, I think this would have been a good opportunity to get him in a little bit as well. But regardless, sure. I expect it to go well. And then we have Chelsea at the weekend.
Yeah, we fully expect a win for you in the second leg here. Hoover, you lost 1-0 to AZ, whatever the hell, in the Eredivisie. And from your words, not mine, this is the worst you've seen Spurs look, and that's saying something. Do you even want to talk about this game? Do you even want to highlight anything? You don't need to if you don't want to. I get it.
No, I think the only thing I will say is 8 days rest. We all expected a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
From a good lineup, from a solid starting 11. Really, really disappointing. It was our biggest game of the year at the time, which just forces Thursday to be that much bigger. Not a lot of good thoughts from it, but Christian Romero's back. I think that's massive. I think he and Mickey might pair together on Thursday, which is puts the fattest smile on my face ever. That makes me so happy. So I expect us to go through here, but also, I mean, what really could happen, a 0-0 finish, and we crash out. So fully expect to win, fully expect to bounce back. 1-0 is not the worst lead to, lose away in the first leg. I'm glad it's the second leg at home. Because I do think the team, the names of the other teams that we may have to face after this, like Roma or Frankfurt, or they're going to crumple under pressure away in those stadiums. So hopefully we just got the dogs back and our back line looks like I want it to look, and we score a couple goals. So
yeah. It's not the worst score line to overcome, and
no,
I kind of feel the same way about Sociedad.
We all had you, me, and Hopes had a very similar day last Thursday. We were just really unhappy.
Yeah, and we play Sociedad at home on Thursday. It's a 1-1 draw. I thought we were unlucky not to come away with all 3 points. The penalty that got called on Manchester United was insane. It's a handball, is what it is. It's the rules, I guess. But, in the actual play, not a single person on the field even alluded to the fact that it might have been a handball. No one on the other team knowing anything. Play progresses. Ball goes out of bounds for a throw-in. And the ref stops the game. And it's like, oh, VAR, handball. Here you go. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. We deserved to win that game. We didn't, and here we are. So we come home at Old Trafford, which is good. Hopefully we can find some form. There was a little bit of rotation. We took off some guys earlier than we normally do against Arsenal, because I think we're really looking at that Thursday. So big shout outs to Europe this week. We have some big games to watch from our own clubs. Liverpool absolutely got away with the biggest terrorist football win against PSG. I think literally it was something like 73% possession for PSG. Absolutely dominated Liverpool. And Harvey Elliott, spaghetti head, pops up with his first touch of the game and scores a goal.
No red and no pen on that Canate challenge is a crime against humanity.
Yeah, there have been some really suspect calls. The other game that we have our eye on big time is Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. Real Madrid with the 2-1 lead in that game. It's always going to be chaotic in that game. It's always going to be something. So keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on the rest of the European competition. We're getting into the round of 16 here. It gets quarterfinals after this. So a lot of footy to watch this week. And as always, you can find us on those social medias, our Twitter, our Instagram, and our TikTok, talking about our reactions to those games, as well as just our general thoughts about what the soccer world talks about on a weekly basis.
Yeah, we don't like João Felix. No matter what Nick says, we are not team João Felix. If you come to the Twitter account, which I am the predominantly runner of, there's a thread ready of proof that this guy sucks.
Let's check in on João Felix.
Let's check in on him.
Yeah, let's just see how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. We alluded to it earlier, but make sure you check out the Soccer Dad podcast. The episode that we got to do with them a couple weeks back posted earlier this week. Shout out to those guys. And until next week, fellas, cheers.
Cheers, lads. You're so good at this.
We're so good.
Shall we easy?
Oh, I have no idea what to call it, though. That's the part that I'm not good.
Have we done MLS, the last couple St. Louis ones?
Let me look.